Oh, there you guys are. What are you doing here? I'm Richard Holdner. But you already knew that, right? Because you came to my channel. So while you're here, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff so you get notified when I do all this testing, because we do lots of cool dyno stuff. That's right. And today we're going to look at what else? An 8.1 496 Gen 7 big block Chevy. That's right. We've got another one, and this one is different. This is a carbureted one. That's right, the famous Dart carbureted intake manifold, and it's not even my motor, but we are going to compare it to my motor. What the heck is Richard even talking about? Well, you got to watch the rest of the video to find out. So check it out. Okay guys, we got something cool in the dyno over here at West Tech. Is an 8.1 liter, which is a 496. It's a Gen 7 big block Chevy. You can see you got some dyno headers on there. This thing, I think, is all stock, so we're going to talk to Andy, the guy that's running the motor. But you can see it's got a carbureted Dart intake manifold on it. Got an MSD distributor. Normally these are fuel injected. It's going to run carbureted. He's running the distributor and a single coil instead of the standard coil pack. This thing you can actually run like an LS. But in this case, it's being converted back to old school with a distributor and a carburetor. You can see we got the 8.1 has a unique crossover, but basically we're just running the big block Chevy and the zero electric water pump. So let's talk to Andy and find out what's going on with this motor, what it's going in, and what condition it is. Okay, Andy, we got an 8.1 liter up on the dyno. This is a 496, which basically is, it's like a Gen 7 big block kind of, right?
Yeah, it's known as a Gen 7.
Yeah, so, and this is, when you look at these ports and stuff, a lot of guys say, oh, that's an LS big block. It's actually not part of the LS family, right? Yes and no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a Gen 7 big block.
Yeah.
They do call it the big LS motor
So,
because of the cathedral ports.
Yeah.
And this the way it's designed.
Cool. So this thing came out after the 7.4 liter, the one that was in the after the Gen 6 big block, which is kind of a normal deal. Hydraulic roller cam, had the small chamber heads on it and the fuel injection stuff in the big trucks. This is what replaced that, right?
Exactly. 2001. This motor came out and they put them in boats, and the 2500 HD, the top kicks.
Okay, so big full-size trucks. I know that my father-in-law has one in his motorhome too. So they use them in the motorhome chassis also, right?
Yeah, I have one in my own motorhome too.
Okay, so this one that we're looking at right here, this is actually not from a motorhome or a truck. So what was this thing originally in?
This came from a 28-foot Commander, and we're here testing it, not for power, but for oil pressure and breaking it in, make sure everything's good before everything gets loaded on the engine to go in the boat. Oh, cool. So just to make sure that it's all good before it gets installed, right? Yes.
So this is a boat motor?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have like I have an 8.1 that came out of a truck. What's the difference, the biggest difference between like the power ratings and how did they achieve it? What's the difference between the typical one that we'll see in the big trucks and then one that came in a boat?
Basically just a camshaft change. There's two options in the boat, and that is 385 horsepower. And that's
Troy!
Base. There he goes. And the HOs are 425 horsepower, and it's just a difference of camshaft. Okay, so
what camshaft did they use in these boat motors?
These are, I do believe, 220, 231.
Okay.
On a 114 load separation.
But that's a GM factory. Is it a 502 cam? What is it?
No, it was developed by Mercruiser.
Okay.
GM, they ordered the engines with this camshaft in that they specified.
Okay, and this is still like a hydraulic roller cam, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what are you expecting out of this thing? You're going to run this thing carbureted and not with a real long run or fuel injection. Have you ever run this Dart carbureted manifold on any of these before?
No. This is a new thing we're doing just to be able to break the motors and test them before they go in the boat. It's 2 days work to load all the accessories on the motor to put it in the boat. So
okay,
we want to make sure it's good before we give it over to the rigging boat shop.
Yeah.
before they put it in.
There's a lot of stuff that has to go on this motor before it goes in a boat.
It's terrible. It's 2 days work.
So this makes it really easy to put on the dyno. You just put this carbureted intake manifold, the carburetor, and distributor, slap it all in there. You can break it in, warm it up, do all that stuff, and it's really pretty easy to run, right?
Yes.
Cool. Well, we'll find out after they get this thing started and broken in. We're going to take a look and see what kind of power this thing makes. I'm curious to see what happens with the carburetor. And you know, have you run one of these in stock trim before?
No.
No? So
not other than in the boat.
in the boat, okay.
Yeah.
But not on the engine dyno yet, right?
No.
So I have mine that I ran in stock trim, the non-HO version. So it'd be interesting to compare kind of what's going on between this motor and the numbers I have from the factory line.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll let you get back to it, and then we'll check back in with Andy when they're starting this thing up.
Okay.
That intake manifold was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was industrial when they were doing 8.1s for industrial stuff.
So if it was a generator, it was designed to run at low RPM then, right?
Very low RPM, and also that was probably the intake manifold was designed for propane or natural gas.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Probably, yeah. Well, I'm not going to say it was designed for that. I'm going to say that it was tested.
Yeah. Where's this thing going to make peak power? 5,300 or something?
55 or 600 is where we're.
Is it rich right now? Nope.
It's not just carburetor, I know that.
Yeah, that's a good...
Whatever the misfire is, it's not the ignition and it's not the carburetor, it's the manifold design.
Okay, guys, I'm going to try to get through the results as quick as I can. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to run a direct back-to-back test between the factory EFI intake manifold and the Dart manifold, the dark carbureted manifold. I will be doing that in an upcoming video. All I did was sit in while Andy was running the motor that he was running on the dyno. I let him borrow my dart intake manifold. And so I decided to do a video on it. So unfortunately, it's not a direct back-to-back test, but we can look at some stuff. We can look at some data. First of all, for all of the guys wanting to look at the power output way down low, I did run this stock manifold, the stock EFI intake manifold, way down low in the very first time that I tested this. And you can see here it is. It made 492 foot-pounds down here at 1,800 RPM, so almost 500 foot-pounds. So it did really well. Unfortunately, I didn't run any of the other cammed versions down that low, but I can at a later date coming up. So there you have it. There's all your low RPM power for the guys that wanted that. But if we take a look, this is the stock intake manifold, EFI stock camshaft. Here is the HO motor that Andy ran with the dart intake manifold. And a couple of things. One, you can see it's making less torque down low than the long runner manifold in the stock cam, but it's making more power out at the top. And that's kind of what we expected from two things. One, it has a much bigger camshaft. It has that HO camshaft in it, which is a 224, kind of like the ZZ502, and it has the carbureted intake. So the carbureted intake is making peak power out at 5,200 RPM. So maybe a comparison between that HO motor and this stock one with the stock camshaft in it, maybe that's not a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. But what if we compared the HO motor to my motor, the EFI motor, but with the ZZ502 cam? Because it's very similar in specs, although not exact. It's very similar in specs to the HO camshaft. And we can see, if you look at it here, it looks like the long runner factory intake manifold is going to make a bunch more, at least mid-range power than that dual plane intake manifold. The dual plane intake manifold still is making peak power at a higher engine speed than the EFI one, and we kind of expect that. Now, I know everybody wants to see these cammed versions at lower engine speeds, and I'm going to try that. They also probably want to see this carbureted one at lower engine speeds, as mentioned in the video. I think that this manifold was designed for like a stationary generator application, so maybe real low speed, maybe we might see something there. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Do you think this dual plane will work really well way down low, or do you think it will struggle and have problems? Do you think it will make more peak power out at the top end compared to this long runner manifold? Let me know in the comments, but we won't really know until I do an actual back-to-back test, but that will be coming up the next time I head down to West Tech. I'm Richard Holder. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. I'll keep testing.